Oh my gosh, I did not see this coming. What the heck? I think it's a friendly reminder that we cannot run away. We cannot escape from our reality forever. Whether that's trauma we don't want to confront, whether that's broken family dynamic we're not ready to reconcile yet, fill in the blank, whatever it is. Only way is through. Hello friends, my name is Benoit Kim, a UPenn educated psychotherapist and a master of overanalysis. I was absolutely bamboozled in last week's episode 1 with the whirlwind of emotions to say the least, and I hope you enjoyed my an hour and a half detailed analysis to Takopi Original Sin episode 1. Let's see what episode 2 is all about. Athathan Nation Zero is a sponsored tier highlight of today's video. Appreciate your support. Shout out to the best patron family. Join us for also Discord access. Sit back and I hope you enjoy. Back in the classroom, I see.
次、クゼ。
はい。6.6だっぴ。6.6です。
正解。
声ちっさ。何言ってるかわかんないよね。
So since the get-go, we see that Shizuka hesitating to answer teacher's questions. Why? In episode 1, we see that Marina's excessive and almost sadistic cruel bullying increases the better Shizuka performs in classroom or just in life general. But I am curious why Marina did not chime in into her bully group girl saying that we can't even hear what she's saying. Marina just quiets. In fact, she looks away. So I wonder if Marina is also recovering from her own trauma back home based on the end of episode 1.
アリナちゃん何もしてこなかったっぴね。もしかしたら仲直りの一歩かもしれないっぴ。
Highly doubt it. I'm sure Marina just may be caught up in her own head, or even worse, Marina is plotting a greater vengeance and bullying that's to come.
そうだっぴか。
Chappie and Takopi.
小さい頃に出てっちゃったけど。そういうのもあるっぴか人間。お父さんがいなくな。
Damn.
血が出てて。
That's very significant. As established in episode 1, Shizuka represents broken attachment style, insecure attachment style, and traumatic broken households. When there's a traumatic experience embedded in scenery and some sort of landmarks, in this case, the sky. Unlike specific landmarks, the fact that Shizuka's father left during this beautiful sky with the starry sky, it's actually even more traumatic and difficult for Shizuka to move through and heal from that trauma, because anytime Shizuka looks up at this beautiful starry sky, which should represent peace, she is triggered and reminded of or re-reminded of the trauma and the abandonment from her father. So that's another implication of trauma. It's not just the trauma and the experience in itself. It's everything that is associated with it and that is relative and in relation to that experience. And this is the regional trauma work. And healing from trauma is much more arduous and difficult than people think it is. Because we're not just trying to untether from the trauma, but also we're trying to unlink and untether from everything else associated with that piece of trauma.
私を星様に一生懸命お願いしたの。お父さんとお母さんが離婚しませんように。
Makes sense. I will do too.
でも叶わなくて。に思ったんだ。魔法もないし。
That makes sense. Remember in episode 1, Shizuka talks about I don't believe in magic? Because I'm sure Shizuka prayed and wished upon the stars countless times for the father to come back. But father never does. And therefore, in Shizuka's innocent but distraught minds, magic is not real. Gods are not real. Another depiction of learned helplessness. Definition right here. Absolutely, absolutely heartbreaking. Because children, with their innocence, should believe in magic because magic represents the good things. Before Shizuka's traumatized minds in her life, there is no such thing as good things. Therefore, magic doesn't exist.
神様だっていないんだって。
静香ちゃんがこんなお話
True.
なんだか仲良くなれた気がして嬉しいっぴね。
Again, we see this duality and dichotomy between Takopi and Shizuka. Yes, Takopi is right. Shizuka did open up emotionally to Takopi for the first time, it sounds like. But what does Takopi take away? Oh my gosh, this is the first time Takopi-chan or Shizuka-chan open up to me. I'm so happy, P. Takopi still doesn't get it. In that opening up carries deeply visceral and heartbreaking trauma and abandonment of that person that's the most important to Shizuka, which is her father. We continue to see this gap of understanding, this deep cosmic divide, and this gap of Shizuka's hurts, emotional expression, and Takopi's lack of understanding. It's not Takopi's fault because it's literally an alien octopus. But still, the audience gets it.
見た時よりずっと。あれあの時はと今日だっぴ。それで静香ちゃんが死んじゃったのはその次の日。あれなんであの時チャッピーはいなかったんだっぴか。
こんな時間に外出とか癒やしいね。
So the fact that Marina is also wondering about at this time, which is ironic, and Marina is projecting what she's doing onto Shizuka because they're both wandering around. Duh. It's another depiction of Marina's own neglect and her mother's negligence at home. Because what kind of attentive mother will let their little elementary students, girls especially, to wander at night? The answer is no one. Of course, none of this justifies what Marina is doing. Because like I talked about momentarily ago, Marina's bullying is borderline sadistic. It's almost borderline a sociopathic. She would 100% be eligible for ODD. And if Marina continues her behaviors, antisocially so, unchecked, then she would eventually become a sociopath and be diagnosed by one of the forensic clinicians like myself as antisocial personality disorder. So it's interesting to see Marina calling out Shizuka, wandering out, calling her a whore, even though Marina is doing the exact same thing. That's the irony. And we see this continuation of the symbolic representation of the clock, right? Because I think clock, aside from the happy gadgets and Takopi's ability to unwind time based on the happy camera, I think clock in this show represents passage of time, opportunity for renewal and transformation, like unwinding the clock, going backwards, Takopi trying to save and redeem Shizuki and so on. So I'm curious to see what else does the clock represent, since time is timelessly, pun intended, a powerful storytelling and symbolic tools in anime, movies, and shows and so on.
やっぱ尻軽も遺伝するのかな。
マリナちゃん。
あ、ボブツ犬だ。前から思ってたんだけどさ、寄生虫とかアバズレにも犬飼う資格ってあるのかな。
チャッピー戻ってほら。
質問に答えてよ。
Here we go. Sadistic bullying begins by Marina. Dude, Marina, did you see Marina smirk the moment the dog jumped and defended Shizuka? Because that's what dogs do. Friends, humans' best friends. This was plotted and orchestrated by Marina. That was an extremely sadistic and sociopathic smirk that Marina displayed. And through Marina's sadistic and sociopathic orchestration, she screamed for help because when a dog bites another people, at least, I don't know about Japan, but sounds like similar laws, at least in the United States, they get put down. In other words, they get killed because they cause human casualties and they hurt other innocent people. And meanwhile, Takopi doesn't get it. Takopi has no idea how it's working. And the one thing that Takopi said in passing is what's happening. I guess Marina didn't get close and my body can't move. I want you guys to double click on that. My body cannot move. Even as an alien octopus, Takopi, it still experienced the 4 primary fear responses of humans. Under panic, crisis, fearful states, humans have 4 primary fear responses. Fight, you fight it. Like fighting a predator, fighting the danger. Flight, you run away. You freeze, you're paralyzed. You cannot do anything. Your mind's moving, but your body isn't moving out of fear. And 4th, fawning. Fawning is when you go with the perpetrators or the dangerous request. And fawning is more relevant in sexual trauma and sexual assault cases, where a lot of victims or survivors will go with the request, seemingly being consensual, but if they're actually fawning out of fear for their lives. So they know in their minds that if they don't say yes to the perpetrator's request, whether it's rape or sexual trauma, I know this is a very dark topic, but out of fear for their lives, they will say yes. Because resisting usually means more beating and more torture. So those are the 4 primary responses listed right here. And it doesn't mean you're weak if you're having flight, freeze, or fawn. Even if you're fighting, that doesn't mean you're brave either. It's just different genetic coding and 4 different ways for human bodies to maximize its survival. So there's no judgment there. It's just 4 responses that humans are prone to.
これチャピってチャピな静香ちゃんが泣いてる
Chappie doesn't quite get it.
僕がなんとかするっぴ
So one thing I didn't talk about in episode 1 is Takopi's survivor's remorse or survivor's guilt. Definition right here. A lot of military veterans experience this when they come back from deployments or a battle. A lot of their battle buddies got killed because I'm an Army veteran myself who served 6 years in the military. They come back, they wonder, why me? Why did I survive, but not my teammates? How come I made it back home to my family, but my battle buddies did not? And then they get more prone to addiction, drinking, substances, and a lot of OD and suicide happens among veterans, combat veterans who make it back because of this severe survivor's remorse. Of course, not only veterans experience this, a lot of first responders, a lot of survivors from mass shootings and so on, horrible, atrocious tragedies. Many of the survivors and victims experience survivor's remorse. Takopi experienced that. That's why Takopi is excessively and incessantly trying to unwind clock using the happy camera gadget, unwinding backwards, trying to mitigate. But it's also cognitive overload because, again, Takopi is going back to its role of fixing. But I think all this do-over will come at a great cognitive overload and great emotional toll for Takopi because it's a lot for Takopi to handle. Especially sounds like Takopi is also like a child based on its own alien happy developmental stage.
タコピ
散歩コースを変えるっぴ
何の話？こっちの道なんだの？
今日公園を通らなければマリナちゃんに会わないから大丈夫
あ、いたいた。
この流れはまずい
Unwinding again.
散歩は明日にするっぴあれ
よし、うまくいった。
See, Marina's like good, all according to plan. Absolute sadistic. One thing I am curious about what this means in terms of Takopi and Shizuka unable to avoid the dooming fates of Marina's encounter. I wonder the deeper emotional and psychological implication of that, or application rather, is maybe it's the idea that we cannot run away and we cannot avoid our reality forever. That's avoidance, which is one of the defensive mechanisms for humans. Again, there's no judgment. It's not good or bad. It's just what people do. But avoidance for a long time is very unhealthy because all the issues and problems we're trying to run away from eventually crumble. They get pent up and explode. And there's like a floodgating effect, and it impacts you and everyone else around you, usually in a very detrimental way. So to me, what I'm taking away is just like Takopi's futile effort trying to literally avoid and walk around Marina, but here is Marina. She's always there encountering Shizuka, regardless of what Takopi's futile effort entails. I think it's a gentle, well, not so gentle because this is a very intense show, but I think it's a friendly reminder that we cannot run away. We cannot escape from our reality forever. Whether that's trauma we don't want to confront, whether that's broken family dynamic we're not ready to reconcile yet, fill in the blank, whatever it is. Only way is through. The only way is through. We have to eventually, when we are ready, hopefully through the help of accredited professionals or loved ones, your community, you're able to face and confront and overcome your challenges, whatever they are. Because all the problems in our lives that we face, they don't melt away and disappear automatically. We have to face them eventually.
Rina ちゃんが探しに会いに来てるからだっぴか。ん？でもそれじゃ会わない。
Okay, important information.
のに会いに来るっぴ。そうだっぴ。同じ人間の静香ちゃんに聞いてみるっぴ。マリナちゃんのこと何かわかるかも。
Now, right now, Takopi, this is the worst timing for you to ask. But I see your efforts. I guess you're trying.
ちょっと聞きたいんだっぴが。
ズッピー待って置いていかないで。
So sad.
"チャッピーと一緒に笑っていられるように。今回はダメでも何度も繰り返せばきっと方法があるはずだっぴ。
Oh, heartbreaking symbolism of that happy ribbon that means friendship and companion from episode 1. It's a suicide, symbolism suicide, which represents despair, hopelessness, powerlessness, helplessness, like I talked about in episode 1. It's because Shizuka feels like she is unlovable. There's no way out of her situations, unresolvable, and third, she doesn't feel seen or heard. She doesn't see a way out. But through that, do you see Takopi's cognitive overload? I don't know how many times Takopi unwinded timeline at this point, but think about all that survivor's guilt. Not once, not twice. However, X amount of times Takopi unwinded, that's X amount of survivor's guilt that's compounding onto Takopi. Although it's naive, but I do respect Takopi's efforts. I'm going to make you smile and happy with Chappie forever. But underneath that, it's that fixer mindset. Takopi continues to try to fix externally by using the happy gadgets versus truly being an emotional companion, holding space, comforting Shizuka, trying to be there for Shizuka emotionally versus just trying to fix her problem. Another, I guess, looming savior complex in that sense. Which timeline did they come?
チャッピーはお父さんとこ行くことになったから。人を噛んだ犬はこの町には住めないんだって。だからいつか取りに行けるわよ。
That must be Shizuka's mother. And the mother didn't even look at Shizuka once. She was on her phone. So I'm sure she's busy trying to survive and, paying bills. Sounds like Shizuka's mother is another negligent mother. Double the trauma, double the brokenness for Shizuka.
早く。
What a disheartening, broken household.
置いていった犬なんだし。あとマリナちゃんは大した怪我じゃないらしいけど、ほんとだるいよね。あの人の手前一応謝りに行くからね。ほんと余計な面倒起こさないでよ。
The only thing that Shizuka's mother is thinking about, despite her own daughter, the only child, just face another visceral trauma of losing the only lifeline. The only thing that keeps her comfortable and safe. The only thing that means the world to Shizuka. The only thing that her mother is thinking about is, can you please stop causing me trouble? Will you? It's so selfish, self-centered. In Shizuka's mother's mind, Shizuka right now simply means causing more trouble, a hassle. What a drag. There's no tenderness, there's no love. There's no consideration for her daughter. What a cruel mother, man.
じゃあ私仕事行くね。夕飯適当に食べといて。朝までには帰るから。頭に毒ダミってどうなのよ。
That's the only thing that the mother was curious about. Not her daughter's beat up clothes, that depressive look, the feelings of despair that she's exuding. Because I'm sure anyone that cares about Shizuka in this moment could feel the despair that's palpable in the air. Man, so much trauma in that household.
どうしてもチャッピーは連れてかれてしまったっぴ。でも僕は絶対
I respect the persistence.
静香ちゃんはまだ生きてくれてるから。
True.
だから僕も頑張ってチャッピーをパパのところから連れ戻してみせるっぴ。
No matter what we're going through, as long as we are alive, there is hope and there is possibility for renewal and change. So whatever we are going through, please don't give up. None of us have Takopi and the happy camera time machine, but still, people care about you and you are stronger and more resilient than you think you are. And you're not as lonely as you think you are. There is an invisible community, people cheering you on. So please don't give up. As long as we are alive, there is hope and possibility for a better future.
期待してほしいっぴ。パパのところはどこにあるってか？僕が今から見てくるっぴよ。静香ちゃん、お腹食べるっぴ。
Some of the depressive symptoms that Shizuka is showing right now is loss of interest, blank facial expression, flat affect, no emotions, nothing. 2, loss of appetite. Obviously, she hasn't eaten all day, but she's not interested in the bread that Takopi's offering. Increased sleep. A lot of depressive people sleep more because that's their way of avoiding and escaping from this cruel and traumatizing reality by shutting down and sleeping. So just based on this scene alone, we're already seeing 3 characteristics for major depressive disorder for Shizuka. And of course, we as the audience, although Takopi doesn't get it yet, we could feel Shizuka's despair and helplessness through the screen.
そうだ、 こに行ってみんなと会えば。
うわ、まさかの来るっていう。
聞いた？マリナちゃんに聞いた。大
犬にかませたんでしょ。
よく学校来れるわ。
あはー、クソ犬管理不行き届き障害女じゃん。おはよう。
Bro, Marina is so sadistic and extremely sociopathic. She's taunting the true victim, which is Shizuka. She's spreading false rumors. She's orchestrating and galvanizing all of her classmates, who are children, who obviously can't think for themselves, against Shizuka, the true victim in this scenario. Man, I don't want to cuss Marina out because she's also another victim of her own family trauma and so on. So I sympathize Marina, but obviously what she's doing to Shizuka is not okay by any means. I feel very conflicted as a psychotherapist, man.
よく来れたね。
じゃあここまで。
マリナ、手からすっごい血が出て。
ひどい。
慰謝料だよ。狂犬病移ったかもしれなくて。
Will that class president or that role model students, will he interject and trying to intervene and help out a fellow classmate, Shizuka? We shall see.
謝ってねえ。
キララ坂さん。次音楽室だから。
Nice. He's trying.
ああ、行くか。音楽何いるっけ？
久世さん、大丈夫？体調悪いなら保健室とか。僕にできることがあったらなんても。
We see that he tried. He intervenes. He stops all the berating and verbal abuse and emotional abuse from Marina to Shizuka. So I respect you. I don't know the name yet, but I respect you, glasses. Little effort goes a long way. I think a lot of times we're hesitant to step in to be a air quote good Samaritan because we don't know. We just want to mind our own business. We don't know how our good Samaritan effort might be perceived by other people. A lot of reasons. And everyone's busy surviving themselves. I get it. But guys, small efforts goes a long way. Just by this kid stepping in for Shizuka, he just saved her from however long minutes of verbal and emotional abuse. So if we see someone in need, we don't have to do grand, massive, big gesture. Just best of our ability, whatever we can at that time within their circumstances. But little gesture goes a long way, either for our loved ones or strangers.
ねえ、あいつ何やっても無反応でキモかったね。つまんない。明日どうする？ごめんみんな。今日先帰っててくれる？なんか用事？そっか。また明日ね。
Marina is definitely scheming. She's scheming something. And also, I just want to talk about all the other girls in that group. They're equally responsible for everything that's happening to Shizuka. They're proxy bullies. They're fueling to the fire and their rage. Girls or boys or any children with secure attachment style from a loving, validating family and parents, they don't feel the need to seek external validation from a bully alpha friend like Marina. So I don't know anything about them, but just based on my clinical expertise and background, I can already see these group of girls have daddy or mommy issues, and they are also simply seeking approval, seeking external validation from Marina, the popular girl, because they're not getting that from home. Heartbreaking all around.
静香ちゃん？
Look of despair in her eyes.
静香ちゃん、全然元気にならないっぴ。あ、もしかしてお腹空いたっぴか？給食食べなかったっぴし。
あ、寄生虫。
マリナちゃん。
ちょっと話あるから顔貸してね。
What is wrong with Marina? I mean, I know what's wrong, but still.
まあ静香ちゃんの可愛いチャッピーのお話でもしようよ。
Another display of sadism by Marina. She's just not causing the hurt and trauma. Again, here comes tactics of verbal and emotional abuse. She's literally, what Marina's doing is she's literally spraying salt onto Shizuka's fresh open wounds of losing her dog, her only lifeline, Chappie. She's causing more psychological and emotional despair. She's causing more hurt toward Shizuka. Again, we see more and more sadistic behaviors by Marina, way beyond just what we consider as bullying for elementary or middle school students.
元気にマリナちゃんとお話。いや、違うっぴね。これはチャンスかもしれないっぴ。
How did the writers come up with this show? Again, Takopi's naivete, Takopi's naive optimism, low-key delusion shows up again. Dude, like, it's impressive writing, but unfreaking believable. And what a visual uppercut. It's like a gut punch by the writers for the audience who sees this unbelievable irony being played out in front of her very eyes. Man.
だったらもう僕も逃げないっぴ。かなりお手伝いするんだっぴ。
The cast was fake?
マリちゃんだって
俺は外で汗水垂らした。
マリちゃんマリちゃんわかるよね。マリちゃんだけはずーっとママの味方だよね。
So it sounds like Marina got slapped by her mother, and Marina is indeed a victim to the mother's verbal abuse, emotional manipulation, and even physical abuse. I like that the show is also showing us all of Marina's cruelty and the sadism, but also Marina's own complex and heartbreaking and traumatizing family dynamic and upbringing. And obviously, Marina's using Shizuka as a literal, emotional, verbal, and physical punching bag. But that's also like the scapegoat theory right here. Scapegoat theory is a psychological phenomenon that's been postulated to explain a lot of people like to find a scapegoat. They like to pin their blame of their circumstances, which they don't like, onto someone else. Ergo, the scapegoat. And for them, they double down and saying that everything that is wrong in my life is that person's fault, the scapegoat theory. And that's usually comes with victim mindset. So Marina is playing out her victim mindset, although being an actual victim of her circumstances, because to Marina, Shizuka is at fault. It's all of Shizuka's fault. Not Shizuka's mother, because Marina can't do anything to Shizuka's mother, who's an adult. Not her father, because there's nothing Marina can do to her father. So what can she do? She picks the lowest hanging fruit. In this case, the poor and innocent Shizuka. Absolutely heartbreaking. Here we go. Man. What a
Bad friend.
死んでなんかない。
死んだ
死んでないも
死
ん。
んだ死んだ死んだ
お父さんのところに。ほら首輪だって。死んだに決まってんじゃんバーカ。お前にはパパもいない、優しいママもいない。
Quick pause. Everything, I want you to pay close attention to what Marina is saying and projecting. Everything Marina is telling Shizuka in this very scene is a projection of her own circumstances. So everything that Marina just told and is berating and attacking, because this is a verbal and emotional attack to Shizuka, is actually a mere reflection of everything she's feeling, Marina, deep inside. But as a child, borderline sadistic, what does Marina do? She's dumping all that trauma dumping, in addition to all the abuses onto Shizuka.
お前も死んでよ。クワッピ。
So this is what happens last time.
怖すぎて一歩も。お前の着てるものも食べてるものも全部お前の母親が男から。マリナのパパが頑張って稼いだお金から。お前さえいなければ。
If it weren't for you, exactly what I'm saying. Shizuka has become a scapegoat for all the unhappiness and suffering for Marina's life, even though it's her dad's fault. Marina's dad. What an absolute shit dad. What a shit dad, dude. Marina's dad deserves a shit dad of the year award. Man.
ママにまた指輪を買ってあげるはずなのに、見ず知らずの商売女なんかじゃなくて、マリナの家族に。
Harsh words.
とっても痛そうだっぴ。早く助けないと。そうだっぴ。ハッピーカメラでまたやり直して。うるさい。
何があったって平気なの。どんな痛いことや辛いことだって。
静香ちゃん、このままじゃ。静香ちゃん。静香ちゃん。今度こそ僕が助けるっぴー。
Did Takopi just kill Marina? Oh my gosh, is Marina gonna die? What is going on with this show, dude? This is too much. Look at Takopi's innocent's face with that little octopus mouth. Dude, Marina's dead. Marina's fucking dead, dude? Oh my gosh.
マリナちゃん、動かなくなっちゃったっぴ。痛すぎだっぴか。マリナちゃん。マリナちゃん。
Oh my gosh, I did not see this coming. What the heck?
痛いのは良くないっぴしね。ハッピーカメラでやり直してちゃんとお話。あれっぴ。
The camera's broken. I really thought this show couldn't get darker, but here we are. Another murder, or at least involuntary manslaughter, because Takopi didn't mean to kill. Because I work in the forensic setting. Homicide or murder is very hard to get in the legal system because there has to be premeditation and intent. But it's very hard to prove intent and premeditation legally. That's why a lot of accidents where people get killed and so on, it's usually manslaughter. Of course, there's first, second, third degree manslaughter. But again, this is not a forensic lesson. So just quick differentiation.
絶対死んだよね。
Oh my gosh.
このせいだっぴよね。ハッピーカメラ。
タコピー、すっごい。本当にすごい。
What?
私ね、魔法とか信じないけど、実は
What is happening?
嫌じゃないから。でも私じゃ何もできないし。
I did not expect this.
それで魔法みたい。チョッピーだってまだ生きてるに決まってる。お父さんのところ。
I'm shooketh.
ありがとうタコピー。殺してくれて。
君たちの言葉で誰かの命を奪うことを
I have to pause real quick. My brain. Oh, what just happened? Do you guys think the writer smoked weed or did mushrooms before they wrote this show? How the F did they come up with this plot and this script writing for the show? I'm speechless. Although I'm obviously going to talk. Let's start with the biggest irony that I've seen since the show has begun. Obviously in the last 2 episodes. The brightest smile, the only time that Shizuka says she believes in magic, the happiest moment that we've seen for Shizuka is in light of Marina's death and manslaughter by Takopi. I think this might be the greatest show that has mastered the art of irony. I've never seen a more ironic show. With emotional storytelling, with symbolic interpretations throughout the movie, and this juxtaposition of gut punch, uppercut of emotions, psychological intensity, but also innocence, and this optimism in a very, very twisted way. The moment that Takopi stepped up and accidentally killed Marina, we see Shizuka's bright smile and saying that I believe in magic again. I can dream again. Takopi, you're like the genie in the bottle. You made my dream come true. I've never felt so conflicted watching any piece of work, piece of art, anime, movies, or shows or otherwise. I'm feeling both weird happiness for Shizuka because seeing her so happy and smile and finally to be able to be cruelty free, but also I'm heartbroken because no innocent children like Shizuka or Marina should be in this scenario of killing and manslaughter and being happy about a fellow child, a classmate, being dead in a pool of blood. I mean, how do you guys feel about this scene and the plot twist in the show? I've never felt this whirlwind of emotions ever watching this show or watching any show recently. Oh, this is unbelievable. Oh my gosh.
殺すというらしい。静香ちゃんが笑ってくれた。
Also, imagine how confusing it is emotionally and cognitively for Takopi. Because Takopi finally made Shizuka smile and happy, which is Takopi's mission since Shizuka found Takopi in that little pipe thing. And this was because Takopi killed someone. In this case, Marina. Imagine how confusing Takopi's worldview is in terms of human understanding. This is all twisted in so many ways, and I would not want to be Takopi right now. So confusing. And it sounds like, again, like I've been saying, Takopi is also a child in its own Takopi happy and alien stages of development. What a confusing reality for everyone.
太陽系第三惑星地球
This is crazy, guys.
やり直しのない僕の本当の物語が始まったのはここからだったっぴ。
Wow. Unfucking believable. Excuse my French. I could say that because I'm Korean, French, American.
Boom, Mr. Worldwide.
And I guess that's what Takopi is saying. Now, I guess starting from episode 3, which I'm eager to record right after this, back to back. Finally, there's no more do-over. There's no more time traveling because that happy camera gadget is broken as a result of killing Marina. So I guess this is where the true story begins. Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Well, if you enjoy my analysis in a very detailed manner as always, like I told you guys, if you're new, I'm the master of overanalysis. I hope you enjoy my non-superficial, non-shallow reaction. Hope you learned something new, and I appreciate you tuning in as always. Smash a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss my next video and my next series and all my ongoing overanalysis effort. I appreciate you for tuning in as always. It means a lot, seriously. And I hope you catch you in the next week's video. Till then, peace.